Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show with my celebrity co-host, Miss Jennifer Radziska.
Yes, that's right.
It took me several
Attempts.
episodes and attempts to get that right. And thank you for taking time. We had a great interview. You've been helping me out and really telling your story of perseverance and definitely staying in that beast mindset. But today, we're going to go into a deeper mindset. Let me tell you about this young man, and I love his name too. Imagine, if you will, if you know anything about addiction, let's start with addiction. It's hard to walk away from any type of addiction on your own. Imagine saying to yourself, I'm going to do it. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to make the difference in myself. I'm going to take accountability for myself. Then not only that, imagine addressing one of the most difficult things to talk about, emotional man health. Not even you can do that. Even though you're a woman, you think you know men, you don't know the shit that men go through.
Absolutely.
But we're going to go deeper. We're going to talk about a good man and a good woman, what that actually means. What is the makeup of those two particular phrases?
I love that.
And you used to be a teacher, so you know phrases and dialogue all matters,
They matter.
Right? Okay, okay. So let's welcome to the show the guy who's definitely setting the social media on fire, the one, the only, Mr. The Real Damian. Let me put it right. The Real Damain James. What's up, big dog?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Damian, your name is like totally good. Where did that come from, The Real? You had to put The Real on there for some reason.
So the reality is there's tons of Damian James out there, and there's an artist that's really, really good. His name is Damian James, and I didn't want to make a negative impact on him.
Right.
So I felt like that was the way to separate myself. And I mean, I think very highly of myself. I don't feel like I'm arrogant or cocky, but I feel like I'm a real person now. I feel like I've been reborn and recreated. Right. And that's why I came up with the Real Damian James, to let people know that I am real. When you see me on social media, I'm sure, Andre, you saw my posts.
Yeah.
You can tell, like, I'm transparent. Everything it comes from the gut. It's not rehearsed. I don't use scripts. A lot of people don't believe that.
Yeah.
Everything I say in social media, it comes from me inside. It's stuff I've experienced. So there's just not a lot of content creators and influencers and coaches like me. And I've been told that so many times over the last 18 months, just because everything I do is so connected to the emotion and the tribes and tribulations that I went through as a man and all the things that I've done.
And you know what's so inspirational about it? It caught my attention, and it's hard. It's hard to catch my attention. Trust me, you know. And when I saw it, I was like, I went to one post, I went to the next, and I caught myself becoming the Real Damian James. I was like, damn, this dude is, what's that song? He's speaking my language. Drake, he's speaking my language. You know what I'm saying? Let's go back a little bit. You mentioned the key word, the rebirth. What were you before the rebirth?
So, 14 years addict. Started with the shoulder surgery. Vicodin use back in 2007, and 14 years later, it was 500 milligrams of oxycodone, 8 milligrams of Xanax, 10 milligrams of Ambien, 32 milligrams of muscle relaxers a day. I died in 2017 on the way to the hospital from an overdose. It was my fault. And 2020, Thanksgiving, went to my mom's house, which is normal for a big Italian family. Went down to her basement, fell asleep because I was so high. I went back upstairs. It was 11 o'clock at night. I thought it was 11 o'clock in the morning still. And I said, hey, where's everybody at? Why aren't we eating dinner? And they said, it's 11 at night. And my mom stood up and grabbed me by the back of the neck and said, don't ever come here again. So that night, I went home. I had my pills for the next day. and I flushed them down the toilet, and I quit cold turkey on my own.
Man, that's
Powerful.
yeah.
And here's the crazy thing: you know you're a drug addict when your doctor gives you weekly prescriptions, and that's where I was. He called me the next day, which was Friday, because he was off after Thanksgiving, and he said, "If you don't get your refills, you will not live till Monday."
You was that far gone.
Oh, I mean, here's a normal man, 210 pounds. He
Yeah.
gets prescribed 3 oxycodones a day, 30 milligrams. I was taking 16.
Damn.
So and my doctor said, he goes, "Damian, you won't make it to Monday, and by Tuesday they will come arrest me for medical malpractice." I said, "I don't want them." I said, I'm quitting on my own." He
Yeah,
said, "You won't make it."
Yeah, because the doctors have a tracking system with how they
The
write
D,
prescriptions. So you had to
the
come and get it.
DEA, the
Yeah.
DEA.
Let
Yeah.
me ask you a question. And I'm getting emotional because I can see the vision of your mother grabbing you by the neck. And the powerful words, "Don't come back." Dude, my hat's off to you. What about your dad? Was your dad in the picture as you was going through this
So
drug use?
so I don't want to sound like a victim or anything, but when I was 16, my dad died.
Oh,
My dad had a massive heart attack on Valentine's Day, stood up at the dinner table, had a heart attack, and died right in front of me.
wow.
Three days after that, the grandma that I lived with for 7 years, because my mom and dad were building an empire, she died. 9 months after that, my mom sat me and my brother down and said she had malignant breast cancer.
And you're young. So how were you able to even process those deaths with people that you love coming so rampantly, and the main role model, your father, passing in front of you, man? That is that where it took a different level for you?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Andre. So I didn't become a man till I was 46 years old, and that was 5 years ago.
That happens to a
I
lot
didn't
of.
become a man till after I got off the drugs. Well, that's when I realized that I hadn't been a man my entire life, and I was running from everything. I mean, I took drugs because I wanted to quiet reality. I took drugs because I didn't want to be accountable. I took drugs because I was running from everything that was real and trying to create my own reality. That's what you do when you take drugs as a man. You run from who you were. Women take drugs currently because they run from who they are. Men run from who they were. And I was a little boy for 46 years of my life.
Damon, let's go back to your brother. What was his effects of seeing all this catastrophic stuff happening to you and your family and him?
So my brother is 5 years older than me. So by the time that my dad died, he was already in college 3 years. Plus, at the same time, my brother's always been like, he's always been a leader of the family. He's always been, he's very successful. And I think my brother's mentality has always been, okay, well, if my little brother falls off, I got to be the strong guy to help him and help my mom. Because my mom and I were close,
Yeah.
and I think my brother knew that he had to take my dad's spot.
Right.
So my brother just put his head down. I mean, in all when my dad died, he was 59. At that point, 16 years of my life, I never saw my dad cry until the day he went into surgery. And I knew the day he went into surgery, like, he was done. He was dead. He wasn't, I was never going to see him again. So it was bad. And I think when my brother saw me get addicted to drugs, I think it just crushed him because I was following in his footsteps. I mean, my brother was class president. I was class president. I was on the honor roll. I mean, in college, I took 22 credit hours. I mean,
Mhm.
I was a brilliant kid. And my brother just saw me just disintegrate. And I think because my brother's always been in such control of everything because he's been so successful, I think he just didn't even know how to relate to it. Because when people see drug addicts and alcoholics and gamblers, their mentality is this is an addiction. You just flip a switch and it's over. I'll tell you, this is the way to understand addiction. Addiction is not crossing the street. An addiction is to get across the street, you go all the way around the world. That's how you get over an addiction. I wish it was a flip of a switch. It's not. And even though I quit that night, that Thanksgiving night, Andre, it took me 2 years to get back to normal. No dopamine, no serotonin. At the same time, I'm a high strung person. So
Yeah.
once my central nervous system came back, my anxiety was 120%. I didn't sleep for 17 days after I quit. No lie. I did not sleep 1 minute, 1 second for 17 days from Thanksgiving night all the way into December.
Let me ask you a question. You got a question, Jen, you want to ask?
No, and I'm glad that you went through that clarification about how you don't flip a switch and then clarified, because obviously you made that decision cold turkey. So I appreciate that clarification.
You died and you come back. You would think that would have been a mind shift as well.
I got worse. In 2017, I'd taken a 30-day bottle of oxycodone. I took it in 47 hours. And I went to the hospital. The hospital was in Louisville, Colorado, and I needed to go to Boulder, Colorado. It's like a 29-minute drive.
Yeah.
6 minutes into that drive, I died. I woke up the next day in the hospital with the pacemaker that's in me. And the EMT driver came in, and he looked at me and he said, "Dude, I don't know what you're on, and I don't know what your problem is." He goes, "But you better get your head right, because you're not getting a second chance." After that, Andre, I doubled down and got worse.
What do you mean double down and got worse? Let me ask
Oh,
you a question. Let me ask you a question. With so much trauma that happened, and you are close knit with your family. Most the Italian culture is like that. I mean, you guys are closely. That's that family bond.
Yeah.
How come nobody recommended some type of treatment before that? I mean, your brother's smart. I mean, was it taboo? Was it taboo in your culture as well as the minority taboo that you don't go to therapy for these type of things?
I mean, so at that point in time, my brother was living in Houston, so he wasn't around. I was in Colorado. My mom lived way up north in Colorado, and I lived in central Colorado, just east of Boulder.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I mean, I was a functioning addict. I mean, I just was. I don't know how, but I was. I mean, I was a CFO for a company for 14 years. I was really good at it. I'm a brilliant guy. I mean, I know you guys probably look at me and think, "Oh, he's a scumbag," but I didn't. All these tattoos and stuff I didn't have, right? I'm a really smart guy. I'm really great with numbers and accounting and taxes and everything, and I was just naturally able to do that. And it wasn't the addiction part when I had the overdose. They played it off in the hospital like it was something wrong with my heart, but they didn't. When you're on medication, they don't test the toxicity of your blood. They just say, "Okay, well, he's on oxycodone and Ambien and Xanax. Oh, this is his prescriptions from his doctors." We're not testing the toxicity. So if they would have tested that, they would have sent me to rehab. They would have never sent me into surgery. If they would have said, "Let's test his blood," because they would have said, 2,400 milligrams of oxycodone, that would have been a big flashing red. They would have sent me right into rehab. They would have never sent me into heart surgery. But they thought that I was actually having a heart problem because I had taken so much oxycodone, it slows down your central nervous system, respiratory system, cardiovascular, and then the right side of my heart had become damaged. They were more freaked out about that, thinking that it was just a damaged heart issue, and that wasn't the case. It was I was absolutely 100% overdosed.
Let me ask another question here. Did you really want to die? Let's call it what it is.
I didn't care. The problem with addiction is you think you're in control, you're not, and then you keep taking drugs because every day you realize how much more uncontrolled your life is, right? You start on Monday, by Friday you got 5 days worth of problems, plus all the problems you had before that Monday. And you got 5 more days of problems. I mean, I was taking drugs because I was running from all the things I was running from. On top of not accepting the fact that I was living my whole life with low self-esteem, low self-worth. I really wasn't who I wanted to be as a person. I always had these big dreams, these big aspirations for myself, and I felt like I had just, I felt like I had failed. And at that point, yeah, I mean, if I would have died, I would have been fine with that. Now, if you were gonna come kill me, you better bring an army because I'm gonna fight every single one of you.
That's good.
So
So it's
let me ask let me go here, Damon. What is a we hear functioning alcoholics. What's a functioning addict? And how do you conceal that you're an addict when you are dealing with numbers and accounting? I mean, unless somebody just didn't, this is what I think about people, and I tell people this all the time. People don't always tell you the truth. They just make sure you don't succeed. So I'm thinking you're walking around, they see what's going on, but they're like, it's not my problem. He's going to do something to trip up. But what's the difference between your definition between a functional addict who may be on alcohol versus somebody that's on drugs at that level that you were on?
I mean, both people go to work, they function at their job, they drive, they do normal things, and you can't tell because they're so intoxicated, but their body is so used to it. It's just being now from the outside looking in. If you would have saw me when I was sober and then saw me then, yeah, right? But none of these people had never seen me sober before. They didn't know that version of Damian. They just knew this version and I had built a name for myself within this industry in Colorado that was the abatement industry, and I had helped the company grow to like almost $7 million. Once I did that, every company in Colorado wanted to hire me because they knew that I was a key player in that. But Andre, here's the crazy thing: 14 years of being an addict, I can't remember any of it. I can remember before I got addicted. I can remember after I got sober. I can't remember any of the 14 years in between. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Well, why is that? I mean, I'm just curious. It seemed like you would remember because those came with struggles and pain.
I don't remember any of it.
I guess that's a blessing in disguise.
I mean, probably. I mean, I know I'm not blocking it out because I've sat down and tried to remember.
Yeah.
One time I had done some research on the internet to figure out if I was an actual addict, and I Googled it, and it said one sign of being an addict is you go through multiple jobs, you can't remember things. So I tried to put together a timeline of when I started,
Right.
and I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't remember birthdays, Christmases. Couldn't remember anything.
Let me go back a minute. And my hat's off to you, man. I mean, I felt the bond when we first talked on the phone, and to put yourself in that mindset to say, I'm going to walk away cold turkey. Most people could not do that. They would have died just from the detox, just from the, coming through. Let's start there. How did you do that? Because did you put yourself in a room? I mean, that with all that amount of medication and stuff that you're going through, dude, you got to be almost Superman.
I went and I locked myself in the basement of my house, and I didn't talk to anybody. My mom had texted me about a week later. She knew that I was alive, and she asked me how I was doing. I said, I'm 7 days sober. And I think at that point she's like, okay, well, she's heard that before. I mean, I had gotten about 168 prescriptions over 14 years. I quit drugs probably 150 times.
Right.
So 7 days wasn't really that big of a deal, right? But this time, like, I was clean, like nothing. And the doctor offered me everything. He said, if you're going to quit Oxy, let me give you Xanax. If you're going to quit Xanax and Oxy, let me give you some muscle relaxers and a lighter oxycodone and some Ambien. And he offered me everything because he knew I was going to be a mess. And I was. 24 hours later on Friday when he checked in with me, I was a disaster. Out of my head. I was sweating and cold at the same time. And 3 days after that, I didn't leave my bathroom for 5 days.
Does your what is your physician's knowledge of where you're at now after that, since that transformation? I mean, did you follow up with him after?
Oh, so I talked to him. He called me every single day. My doctor did, to check on me. And then after about 30 days of checking on me, I said, I'll be in contact with you. And 6 months went by. I went in for a physical, and I was clean, right? But I was still struggling with low dopamine, low serotonin, and I had a hard time focusing, which is normal when you quit oxycodone. But I had put on almost 25 pounds. All the color came back to my face. My eyes weren't sunken in anymore. I didn't have a gray tinge to my skin. And when I went in there, my blood pressure was normal. All of my blood work came back clean. And he actually sat down in front of me, and we started crying.
Take your time, Damon. Take your time.
And
Damon,
he
what was the
said he was
hardest? What
he
was the
said he was
hardest?
proud of me.
I'm proud of you too. Truthfully, what was the hardest part with that journey? Because did you tell your mom that you was gonna do your own detox? Because I want to make sure that
Yeah.
you put a safety mechanism in place. So
I
your
didn't.
mom you didn't.
I didn't have a choice. And here's the problem. The problem is that my family knew I was a drug addict. They didn't believe me. I Andre, when you're an addict, you lie to yourself and you lie to everybody. I lied to my doctor about getting early refills, losing prescriptions, left bottles on a plane at a hotel, cleaning lady took it. I lied to everybody. So nobody believed me. And and then the problem is that when you try to tell people you're sober, you get kind of excited about it because you're kind of bragging about it. They think that you're that excited because you're high again. So it's almost like,
That's crazy.
yeah, it's almost because there's just no trust there. And I mean, my mom had heard the story for 14 years. I mean, I told her that when I left the hospital, I'm like, I'm gonna get clean, and she was just like, I think she made a comment like, if you don't get clean, you're gonna get dead. And I didn't, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it went on for almost 4 more years after that. So even though she was checking on me, I think her mentality, and because she knew, listen, when you get addicted to opioids, 1% of people who get sober from opioids stay sober. 1%.
That's not a good percentage.
Alcohol's 5, opioids is 1, benzos, which is Xanax, is 0.05. And I was on opioids and benzos.
Your mom made the major difference in your life. How difficult was it to get the people around you to buy in to your belief that you are clean, that you're not going to go that way? How long did it take to build that trust factor?
Nobody realized that I had gotten clean until last year in July. My very first post on TikTok, I told the entire world that I was a drug addict and I recovered from it. My family saw it. My brother, my mom, my family called my mom and said, Damien just told the entire world that he was a drug addict and he's sober now. She knew then, because at that point, I mean, if you would have seen me, Andre, you wouldn't believe that it was me. I mean, I look like I was walking death. Like I was literally, I look at the old pictures of me from 2019, 2018. I can't believe. I mean, I'm 210 pounds today. I was 145 then.
When you get to that level, we make a lot of crazy mistakes. How bad did it get for you outside of almost dying? Because did you have a place to live?
I
You,
lost everything because of it. During that time. I lost my reputation because I finally got to a point in my job where I made a mistake, and that trickled. I'd made an error in a contract that cost the company 900 grand. That trickled down in the industry. I can't go work in that industry anymore. Um, I ruined my relationships with everybody. All my friends. it was bad. I mean, I lost all my wealth, all my assets, reputation. I mean, coming out of 2020, I literally hit ground zero, and I had to start rebuilding it. And then the problem was after that, I had started rebuilding again. And then in 2022, I had I got into a relationship where I was building a company that we raised $4 million for, and that went south, and that destroyed me and took me out, and that literally almost killed me. It almost forced me to. I almost went back and fell back into addiction, and so I in the grand scheme of things, from 22 back, I mean, I lost everything. I had to rebuild it all, and that's where the whole premise of Unweak and the coaching and all this stuff it came about, because I knew that if I could do it at 48
Yeah.
and do everything that I did, on top of dealing with attachment issues from my dad dying, attachment issues from my grandma dying, the possibility of my mom dying from breast cancer, all that stuff, if I could overcome that at that age, get back in the gym, build businesses, do something way out of the norm, which was get on social media at 48 years old, because everybody said it will never work. Everybody's like, you're going to fail. You're too old. Nobody wants to hear that from you. Everybody said, don't do it. You're going to fail. I mean, it was the most common thing everybody told me. It wasn't going to work. I wasn't going to be good at it. So at that point, I was just like, I had nothing to lose. The worst person you could ever come up against is somebody who has nothing to lose, right? That's where I
Right.
was.
Let me go here because you got a question?
No.
Let me go here with this. You said you almost went back. The determination factor for you is strong. I can hear it in your voice. I would think, and you can correct me if I'm right or wrong here. I think the biggest issue that you had to deal with coming out of the addiction state is to get back that mindset that you've always been an overachiever, and the ability to not succeed in the first ventures and the second ventures. I can see that becoming a trigger. But am I right? Was that part of the reason that you did it, because you are an overachiever, so to speak, and your success is based on the fact that you've had success? You did things before
Yeah.
that, and then coming out of addiction, you know, you didn't have that. Now that you out of addiction, I mean, it's going to be that much more tougher to regress.
I mean, I think that it was just, I think I was just ashamed of myself. Um, and, and, and to be honest with you, is that because I didn't have the drugs anymore, I actually felt the pain. And, and I never felt that before. And I'd always ran from it, right? The last time I really felt pain was when my mom had a mastectomy and had to, and beat the breast cancer. But
Yeah.
I felt like I just felt like that I never felt that much internal adversity, and I didn't have the drugs there to mask it. So I had to deal with it head on, and it was scary. And because Andre, again, I mean, I was older this time. I
Yeah.
wasn't 30 years old again.
Yeah.
I was 46, and I was in a situation where, I mean, I didn't have a lot of life in front of me, and I didn't know, for the first time in my life, I didn't know what I was going to do, and I certainly didn't know how in the hell I was going to do it if I did know. I mean, most people would just be like, I'm gonna go work at Walmart and hand out grocery carts, and
Yeah.
that I just couldn't. I wasn't accepting that. But at the same time, I was scared, man. And I was in a lot of pain that I induced myself. It was all me. This is all my fault.
What makes it different? You created a beautiful brand, um, on Week. You've now created and helped to put together foundations. What makes and I mean, this is a two-part question. What makes you stronger now, and now that you're stronger, who's there for you this time? Because this all started with the loss of loved ones without a support system. Let me rephrase this. It's not that you didn't have a support system. The deaths of these individuals, there was nobody that can cope with it because they all had to deal with the loss on their own. So what makes this journey different, and who are your support cast now? Because now you have to develop a whole new trust system.
So what? So the whole theory behind On Weak is the most powerful version of you is in you.
Wow, I
That
like
that
that.
that
Yeah,
that is who we are, right?
yeah,
It doesn't matter who surrounds us. If you understand that you can do anything that you want to, nobody's stopping you. Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Bo Jackson, Alex Rodriguez, I can go down list after list, right?
right.
Oprah Winfrey, we can keep going. They had it in them.
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what your circumstances are. You have it in you. And I knew that. And that's what Unweak is about. Unweak is a mindset. And you don't need to read a book. You don't need to call me. You have to understand that if you want to do it, you can do
do it.
it.
It's so funny, man. You know, the universe works in mysterious ways because you preach the same thing I do. And I tell people a lot of times with that mindset, and you can validate this too. I know you can. You start to attract the same mindset. Whether it's unweak, whether it's beast mindset, you begin to attract that. And then you realize the load that you was carrying was somebody else's shit that couldn't
Yes.
be unweak, that couldn't have that beast mindset. And then you learn to let them go because you can't carry everybody with you. That
No.
was my problem. I was trying to carry people. It's like, look, somebody told me, it said, look, you can't carry everybody with you, Dre. Some
Right.
people don't have that mindset. And I said, you know what? You're right. I release you, but I release you with love, dude.
Yes.
Yeah. But we ain't traveling the same road.
Right.
When your mom
And
grabbed you, go ahead. Go ahead, Damon.
I mean, and unfortunately, when you take on that mindset like I have,
Yeah.
it really it separates you, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there's just groups of people that don't get along with me because they're just like you're just too much, and that's my mentality. My mentality is like, listen, I'm gonna become too much. I'm
I,
gonna be too much for everybody
yeah.
because when I'm too much, then I know that I'm enough to fulfill everything I need to fulfill in my life. So if you think that I'm on fire now, wait a month, wait a year, because I haven't even got started yet. And
What you
that's just my mentality.
the flame is real low, but it can't do like this in a heartbeat.
Yeah, yeah. I'll stoke the fire, and you're gonna get burned. So just step back.
When your mom grabbed your neck, I think you will have to really give her just dues because I think you carried that with you throughout that whole recovery process because let's get real, that was the last lifeline for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get around 4,000 messages a day across WhatsApp and DMs from Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I get them from all over the world, right? And I get a lot of guys just tell me that they love me, pray, bless God for me. And I send a lot of that stuff to my mom just so she can see it and understand like the difference I'm making.
Yeah.
But we just had a funeral in this family and she was there a week ago. And every one of my cousins, I got a big family, about 300 people.
Wow.
They all came up and told her like, "Do you understand what your son is doing now? Do you understand that your son is doing something that nobody thought he could do?" And most people probably wish they were him because, I mean, literally, I mean, I have started a revolution right amongst men, and I mean the impact I'm having globally now is it's insane. And then on top of the fact that the brand growing the way it is,
Yeah.
but I think now she's starting to see. that a lot of the stuff I'm doing was just to validate her name, to make her proud of me, so she knows that I wasn't taking advantage of the life she gave me.
Damon, I know this is hard, and I really appreciate you coming on and talking. And like I said, we have other projects that we're going to work on together, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper here. We shared something on the last show when we first met with Darren's show, and you mentioned something, the validation. We're going to get into men and emotion right now. The validation of a father. We love we as men, we love the validation of a woman, but there's nothing like the validation of a father. I throw myself up under the bus on this one. I remember wanting to know my father on a more personal level. It wasn't until years, I was about in my 20s, that we finally had that confrontation, because I held that anger. But you know what? When I look back, it wasn't anger. It was the validation, because I remember being a top athlete in high school. I remember National Signing Day. I remember that to the back of my dying day, because it wasn't called National Signing Day when I grew up. You know, you just went into the cafeteria and you signed a scholarship. You know what I mean? But it was big. To me, that was still big, because we still had our family and friends. And I remember, I'm trying not to get emotional, the only person was there was my daughter. I mean, not my daughter, but my sister. And I remember signing that scholarship. And that night I walked out on the track and I said, what the fuck am I doing this shit for? That's exactly what I said. I looked up at the sky and I said, what the fuck am I doing this shit for? Who is cheering for me? You know, I don't have a mom. My mom was deceased. I'm like, who's cheering for me? My grandmother, she's raising her grandkids. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then it switched to my dad. I said, this motherfucker can't even come and see his son. And I held that anger. But the way that I redid it was, I said, I'm going to keep being better. I'm going to keep being better. When I went to the Olympic trials and became an Olympic candidate, nobody was there. I was like, damn, I'm doing all these things to get him to recognize.
Yeah.
Play football, still nothing. Professional bodybuilder, still nothing. Then one day, I go over to his house, and my female friend was there, and I wasn't angry at him, because because I had already healed that bridge. But I'm gonna break this down where it makes sense, and you can share your point too. She says, I didn't know you was an Olympic candidate. I never told nobody. I said, how the fuck do you know? She said, there's a box right here with artifacts. So I looked at it. My dad was in the other room. So I'm looking and I'm thinking, holy crap. I see all these news articles, these clippings, and I put them back in there. I didn't say nothing to my dad that day. I waited a while later and I said, hey, man, I'm going to ask you this question. What was my mom to you? I said, was she just a fuck? Was I just a fuck? My dad broke down. He said, no. He said, I loved your mom, but I wasn't a man. I fell in love with the streets.
Yeah.
He said, but out of all my kids, I'm proud of you. I said, Dad, I kind of know that, because when you was in the other room, I looked in that box. He said, I've been following your career ever since you was a baby. You just never knew that. Now, let's go back to you. You lost your father right in front of you. I couldn't even begin to imagine that feel. What do you remember about your dad and the fact that you needed that validation? Did you need the validation? Did you need more of the validation when he died and you say, how do I move on now? Pop, where you at?
I mean, my dad and I were close. That was the problem. My dad and I, we went fishing. During the summer, we fished almost every week together.
Right.
I mean, I was tight with my dad. He was big into baseball cards. I mean, I had my dad gave me the first box of '86 Flair. I had 6 Michael Jordan rookie cards. I mean, he was my hero. Um, so him and I were really close. And the downfall was is that I was 16, so I was at that age, right, where girls was girls were the new thing, and I had got my driver's license, and we were starting to kind of separate, and I was trying to become a man, but I was still an adolescent boy, and I wasn't growing up yet, and he was still trying to rein me in to, to get me to wake up and realize don't be distracted, focus on your grades, and focus on this, and um, so I don't think that I had a life where I wasn't unvalidated because I mean I always caught the biggest fish and he always made a big deal about it and I was stellar in school. I was always getting straight A's. He always like he it was just normal for him to say straight A's again. I knew it. So it wasn't a big deal there as far as the validation goes, but the toughest part for me was that at that age 16, right? And because it's the beginning at that point in time, because I'm a Gen Xer, that was like the beginning of the of sexual premise and girls and all this. So I really needed him to be there.
Right.
I needed, and my brother was gone. My brother was in college, and he would
Right.
have been the guy I could have asked, but he was gone, right? So Matt's gone. Then my dad leaves, and I was just like, what do I do? And that's why I told you, like, I don't feel like I became a man till, I was 48 years old.
What about
Um,
your uncles? Do you have any uncles or older
yeah,
cousins?
so my mom had 9 brothers and sisters. I was tight with them, but they're all scattered.
Okay.
And after my mom's mom, my grandma died, the one I live with, um, the at that point the Italian family just started to fall apart, right? Because there was cancer and heart disease and just normal accidents. I mean, I think by the time I was 12, I had been to around 40 funerals.
Right.
I mean, so I had seen like all the stuff you shouldn't see at that age, right? And our family just started to slowly fall apart. And we had big families within those. All of my uncles and aunts, they had 6, 7 kids, and they all had. I mean, I've got so many. Like I said, I got over 300 active family members still in Colorado. So for somebody to come take ownership of a 16-year-old kid, me, I mean, I think that. I think that my mom did as good a job as she could. I mean, and she did a great job. I mean, raising me. The cancer was a major hit.
Yeah.
Losing her husband of 44 years was bad. Um, and the fact that she kept it together because at that time my mom had 2 grocery stores, a bowling alley, and like 8 rentals. I mean, her life got turned upside down, and she lost her mother. She lost her husband. 3 days later, she lost her mom. 9 months later, she diagnosed with breast cancer. I mean, talk about getting it from every direction.
Yeah.
And then now my mom is still alive. All of her brothers and sisters have passed. So she's dealt with all of that.
Did the pressure? Did the pressure? Let me put this the right way. I'm using my own experience here. When my mom died, I became the new male in the family. Even though I didn't know it, I became that anchor. Now, at 16 years old, with the loss of your father, did your mom pretty much expect you to be the new head of the family?
No,
Was pressure put on you is what I'm saying.
yeah, my mom didn't put that pressure on me. I really think that I think I went backwards, right? I think as soon as my dad died, I went from acting like a 16-year-old to acting like a 12-year-old. And my brother tried to step up, but again, he's in Greeley, 50 miles away from where I grew up. It was tough for him to kind of be around, but my mom just she did the best she could. And I think because I was so close to my dad and my mom felt so bad, plus losing my grandma, I think
Yeah.
my mom was like, I got to give this kid space because he's probably gonna one go into depression or two he's gonna take himself out. And I actually really think that she thought that for a number of years. I think that because what had happened is when I got into senior high school, I fell off. I mean, my grades went from straight A's. 11th grade year, my senior, I barely got out of high school in my 12th grade year, barely. And
Why do you think
I,
that was? Was there a level of just hopelessness for you?
I mean, I just, I get my thought was is like I lost my dad and I lost my second mom, and like why would you do that to somebody?
So
And
you began to question God.
I mean, it wasn't a question of faith; it just was a question of why. I mean, it was just like so many punches, right? So much adversity, and it's hard to like accept that you're not just being targeted, right? I mean, at some point, you have so much bad stuff happen to you that you go, what did I do? Like, what did I do? I was a 16-year-old kid. Like, my dad, my grandma, 9 months later, my mom's got cancer. Like, I mean, come on. Settle down, you know? And, and I think the problem was is that that's a terrible mindset. That's a victim mindset. And I think I carried that for 32 more years of my life. Like, not woe is me, but kind of like F you to the world. I've already taken all my belly punches. I can't take anymore.
Right. And that's what I wanted to ask. How do you get somebody to, like you eventually did, to get from that mode of being a victim to the motivation to be a victor? How do you create that transformation?
So the most common thing I tell everybody is that you can let life define you or align you.
Wow.
So if and when I say align, I point up. And when I say define, I point down. So the things that happen in your life, they happen to you to make you the person that you need to become. Everybody is programmed to be successful. Everybody is programmed to become amazing. But if you let the things in your past drive you in the direction that they were created, you are never going to get out of the woods. Never. Everything that you go through makes you as strong as you need to be to become the best ever. And that's how you got to look at it. You can look at your life as you're getting beat down, or you can look at your life as you're getting forged steel. And that's how I tell everybody, like, you had a bad relationship. That is teaching you to get better people in your life. That is teaching you to become a better person. You
Yeah.
attract who you are. You don't attract what you want. In
Say
every
that again.
aspect of your
Wait a
life.
minute, Damon. Hold down, Damon. Say
Woo.
that again. You attract
You
what?
you attract who you are. You don't attract what you want. If you're not a good person, you aren't going to have good people in your life. If you don't know how to manage money, you will never be rich. I mean, that's just the way it goes. So if you want to if you want the best things in your life, you have to become the best. And if you're going to sit around and you're going to be weak, if you're going to have this mindset that you're not going to take control of the things that you can control, your body, your mind, your fitness, your health, your wealth, your savings, your intelligence, your physical attributes, if you're not going to control those, then life will take control of those.
Wow.
Yeah, really. That's an incredible reflection
I
of the
think
power of in transformation.
I think we're gonna go viral on that. So let me ask before we wrap up. Let's talk about. I like this: the good men and good women. Yeah, explain that. Explain that theory and how it relates to your development and how it can develop. How it can relate to our development. The people that are listening.
So if no matter how old you are, and if there's moms listening to this or dads, if you want your son to have the best relationships and be the best guy ever, focus on his self-confidence. And this is the number one reason why. There's a modern day thing called narcissism. I'm sure you've heard of that, right? Narcissist. The most common trait amongst narcissists is low self-worth. Because a narcissist will lie their way to get people suckered in emotionally, and the whole time they know in their head they're not worthy because they have low self-esteem, and eventually they can't put out any more positive energy, so all they do is they control and manipulate, and that comes from low self-esteem with them. If parents and every guy out there listening to this, if you focus on your self-confidence, you will not be a narcissist, you won't have narcissistic tendencies. That will attract better people. And women are more emotionally advanced than men are. It's proven. Okay. The reason why women these days are going through relationships is because they see more men with common low self-confidence, and they know that leads to narcissism. It's why women are walking away from men very early and very fast. If you show a woman that you're weak, if you show a woman that you have the tendency to have low self-esteem, she's gone. It's not because she doesn't like you. It's because she knows that that's going to lead to narcissism in a relationship, and that will destroy her. And they're not going to do it. So if you want great men to meet great women, all these young men, they need to focus on their self-confidence. Stay off the internet. The internet is showing you fake lives. It's not going to help you become a great man. Get into sports. Get in the gym. Get your mind right. Work with your hands. Go make money. Go learn a skill. It increases your self-confidence. It's not about how you look. It's not about how tall you are. It's about what you can do with the things that you have. And that's from within. That's a power from within. Nobody can take what you have. Nobody can take from me what I have in here. This is the most powerful thing. Right here and right here, right? Nobody can take that. Build on that. You become the strongest version of yourself. At that point, women love you. Women love men with good energy and good confidence. Not cocky, good confidence, because they know he's not going to be controlling. They know he's not going to be manipulative because he doesn't have to be. He's comfortable in his own skin. And that's the number one problem. Men have low self-confidence because the internet doesn't promote it.
Wow. Did you wake up on that?
I absolutely did. I felt like there's a reason I was sitting in this seat today. So, yeah, definitely.
Look, I told us, look, then I said, you're going to sit there because he's going to give you a powerful message today. This is the awakening. This is the unweak version. Part 1 is what it's about. Damon, thank you so much for coming on and sharing such a beautiful story of unweak and that mindset. I call it that beast mindset. It's the combination of both working together is what I call it. If you had to leave the view, you know what? Not if you had. Let's leave the viewers with that unweak mindset. And based on your theory, what can we leave them with something positive from you?
Everybody who's listening to this, you need to become the version of you that you've always dreamed to become. And you have to know one thing. It's not in a book. It's not in a podcast. It's not in a video. It's not on the internet. It's in here and here. Every single person that's watching this right now, you can be whatever you dream to be. You just got to want it.
Damon, how can the viewers reach out to you, support you, and understand more about the unweak method?
So I'm on the internet at the Real Damian James. And I also have the unweakmentality.com and unweak.com. All my information is on there.
And let's call it what it is. The Unweak Podcast coming 2026, produced by the I Am Beast Network. Come on now. Let's give it some doubt.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Ladies, so let me also say thank you to my celebrity co-host. And
I should be thanking you. This was...
It was outrageous, wasn't it?
Feeling blessed right now.
Yeah.
Feeling absolutely
Thank
blessed
you.
right now.
Yeah. When you sit in this chair, you never know what you're going to get.
No, you don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode, say it with me, of Andre
The Beast
Crayton.
Show.